have reached the last installment in our series. Let's just take a step back and contemplate the problem that we're solving here. You, my fellow high stress, high achiever, want to do things really freaking well. And like me, you get pretty pissed off and stressed out or depressed when you feel like you're not doing things really freaking well. So, how could people like us who want to do things really well accidentally put a cap on our own performance? We do it inadvertently, of course, by not understanding how our brain works and where our best performance actually comes from. Like I told you in part one of this series, which I've linked above, the most pernicious cognitive illusion that I see high achievers falling for is that they think high performance is the anxiety driven overworking that they do when their brain is in fight or flight. And they don't realize that they have a whole universe of even higher performance without the stress and the burnout that's available to them if they can just get their brain out of fight or flight and back into flow. And like I told you in part two of this series, which I've also linked above, it is totally normal for your brain to get stuck in fight or flight sometimes. There's nothing wrong with you. This is not yet another thing that you're doing badly. This is the most normal phenomenon in the world. Everybody experiences it. And if you want to pull your brain out of fight or flight and back into flow, all you have to do is the 5 R's: recognize, reposition, reveal, reframe, and repeat. We've covered 4 of the R's already in the previous parts of this series. I've linked all of those above. So by now, what you've done is you've recognized when your brain has gone into fight or flight and is no longer doing its best problem solving. You've also repositioned yourselves so that you are the observer of the storm inside your brain instead of being caught in the middle of the rain. You've then revealed your brain's below the line fight or flight logic by asking yourself, what is the lose-lose framing that my brain came up with? And then you reframed that lose-lose into a win-win, either by wiggling one side of the lose-lose and realizing it's not actually true, or by asking yourself how you can have it all without any trade-offs, or by seeing the win-win side of your choices. And those things have brought your brain back above the line, back into flow. Now, here's the thing about bringing your brain back into flow. It's not just going to stay there automatically forever. Like I told you yesterday, getting your brain to stay above the line is half logic and half habit, half reframing and half reminding. It's half writing the new line of code that outputs the result you want, and it's half updating the rest of the system to actually reference that new line of code in all the places that it's supposed to. So when you run into the kind of circumstances that usually send your brain into fight or flight, your brain is probably going to go below the line first. You've built the logical pathway for staying above the line in those circumstances, but now you have to actively access that new pathway in those circumstances. And that's just going to take a little bit of habit building and manual redirecting until your brain starts doing it automatically. And I want you to see this as a simple logistical problem. I can guarantee that you have solved harder and more complicated logistical problems in your life, at home, and at work. With this, there's only 2 questions you need to answer. First, how will you notice when this particular lose-lose pops up for you again? And second, how will you remind yourself of the reframe? Here's the way that I personally do it. I have a text file on my computer next to my to-do list that has the key reframes that I'm working on implementing in my brain right now. I update that list over time based on what lose-loses my brain is particularly fixated on and what reframes are resonating the most. I review the list in the morning just to prime my brain in that direction and keep it top of mind. And then during the day, when I inevitably notice myself getting stressed out and starting to procrastinate and avoiding the work on my to-do list, all I do is I go back to that text file and I review those thoughts until they sink in. It's so simple that it almost feels like silly or too basic to be worth mentioning. So let me give you an analogy to help you think about this last step in the process, this repeat step, and not discount its power. I want you to imagine that you visited a magical witch in the forest and you told her, these are the things I want. I want to achieve this level of success in my career. I want to make this amount of money and reach these titles and have this level of impact. And this is what I want my personal life to look like. I want to have a loving family and supportive friends and engaging hobbies and to generously give back to my community. This is the life I want to live. Tell me the secret. Tell me what I have to do to get there. And I want you to imagine that the witch tells you, you can have everything you want. I've looked into the future and everything you want is possible. But here's what you have to do to make it happen. I'm going to give you 2 magical artifacts. I'm going to give you a red light and a box of candy. And here's what I want you to do. Every time the red light turns on, I want you to eat a piece of candy from the box. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just do that, and success is guaranteed. Now, what would you do if you had this magical guarantee that you would get everything you wanted if you just ate a piece of candy from this box every time the red light turned on? I think you would spring into logistical problem solving mode and you would get it done. You would put the red light somewhere prominent so you could respond to it quickly. You would keep the box of candy front and center on your desk so you could grab a piece whenever you need to. You'd remember to take the two magical artifacts with you everywhere you went. You would figure out the logistics and you would make it happen. And you'd probably be like, this isn't even that hard. This is much easier than running that massive implementation project I ran or managing a newborn sleep schedule. This is exactly how I want you to think about the repeat step. Once you've revealed the particular lose-lose framing that you want to rewire in your brain, the red light turning on is you noticing that your brain has gone below the line because of this particular lose-lose framing. And you eating the piece of candy from the box is you reminding yourself of the new reframing that you wanted to apply. And the magic that happens after that is your brain going back above the line and you going back into flow. So think about how you would implement the witch's magic advice in this little fantasy scenario, and then implement the repeat step in your life in the exact same way. Where people get frustrated in this process is when the reframes that they've come up with stop resonating with their brain. This is totally, totally normal. Your brain is an incredibly dynamic, infinitely complex thing that is navigating a large, loud, constantly changing world. So the lose-lose framings that your brain comes up with are going to evolve, and the reframes that flip your brain back above the line are also going to evolve. Nothing is going wrong when this happens, but it does mean that keeping your brain above the line is an ongoing practice, not a one-time fix. And the fastest way to streamline this practice is to work with a coach. This is why I won't give up my one-on-one coach for anything. I can do all this work on my own. It just goes way faster and is way easier when I have an objective third party helping me. I recognize when I'm below the line way faster. I find the lose-lose framings faster. I create the new reframes that resonate faster. I figure out the implementation faster. And I adjust things as my brain evolves and my circumstances evolve more quickly and more efficiently. And as a result, my brain goes below the line less often and it snaps out of it faster than it would if I was trying to do this all on my own. So if you want to get your brain back into flow as quickly as possible, come talk to me and let me help. You can drop by anytime for a no strings attached coffee chat. You just come and tell me what's on your mind, the problems you're facing that have you feeling stressed out and stuck, and then I will help you pull your brain from fight or flight to flow so you can see the best way to handle your situation. And I'm also happy to just give you some advice based on the hundreds of hours I spent coaching high achievers just like you in very similar situations. And then off you go on your merry way, unstressed, unstuck, and back in flow. The link to book a coffee chat is above. Or you can also book a consult call and we can map out what a full coaching engagement might look like. Because I can pull your brain from fight or flight to flow one time in an hour, but I can't teach you the whole toolkit for doing that consistently and repeatedly in just 1 hour. But I can teach you that toolkit over the course of a coaching package. And the sooner you learn this skill, the sooner you are going to do even better work, stop feeling like crap about yourself for not doing enough, and sustain the high performance that you want without burning out. Let's start today. The link to book a free consult call is above. Or if you're listening on Instagram, all the links are in my bio. Or if you're listening on the podcast, all the links are in the episode description.